Today we'll be reviewing how to submit a returning student housing application for 2017-2018. Begin by going to housing.tulane.edu. On the right-hand side of the Housing and Residence Life homepage, you'll see a link to the housing portal. The housing portal will ask you to sign in with your Tulane credentials. Once you've entered the portal, please select Housing Applications and select the academic year 2017-2018 housing application. The application start page has a lot of information about how to navigate your application. The most important piece of information on this page is your housing classification. This is your class standing for 2017-2018. So current first year students will see a standing of second year. Current second year students will see a classification of third year, and so on and so forth. If you believe that your classification is incorrect, please contact Housing and Residence Life as soon as possible to get it corrected. Let's begin. On your personal information page, there are 4 sections. The first 2 sections, your permanent home address and your emergency contact, will be automatically filled in for you. If there's any information that is incorrect in these sections, you will need to go to Gibson Online to correct it. At the bottom of the page, you will fill in the missing person contact information as well as your t-shirt size. The next is our housing information page. There's a lot of information that you'll need to be familiar with on this page. Please read it thoroughly. At the bottom of this page, you will see the gender inclusive housing section. Housing and Residence Life permits any student to live with any other returning student, regardless of sex or gender. If you would like to live in a gender-inclusive environment with students of any sex or gender, you need to select yes to the gender-inclusive housing question. Please note that students that select yes to this question will only be able to roommate group with other students that have also selected yes to this question. Students that select yes to this question and create a gender-inclusive roommate group will select from a variety of co-ed spaces upon room selection. The next page of your application is going to ask you for your housing preferences. You will be asked to submit 2 preferences. Please note that your housing preferences are used by housing for planning purposes. What you choose on this page will not restrict the rooms that you are allowed to select during room selection. The 5th page of your housing application is for residential learning communities. On this page is where you will rank your preference for a residential learning community or indicate that you are not interested in living in an RLC. Very importantly, this link is where you access the RLC application. Students that indicate an interest but do not submit the RLC application will not be considered for a space within that residential learning community. You must click onto the RLC application for full consideration. The 6th page of your housing application refers to roommates. At the bottom of this page, you'll be asked to create a roommate profile. On this page is a checkbox. You must check that box if you would like to be included in the roommate search process. If that box is not checked, you will be anonymous and unsearchable in our system, and no one will be able to select you as a potential roommate. You'll be asked to enter a screen name. This should be something that your friends can easily find when searching for you, as well as a description, and you have the option to upload your social media information. If you do not have an intended roommate for next year and would like to use the system to search for one, this information will provide other students more information about you and whether you might be a good roommate fit for them. Page 7 are roommate profile questions. These are important questions about your lifestyle and habits. Housing and Residence Life utilizes your answers to these questions to match roommates on compatibility. Even if you are selecting a living unit with all of your friends, if at any point there becomes a vacancy in your suite, Housing and Residence Life will use the responses from students to look at percentage of match. so it is important for you to fill out these questions. The last page of your housing application is your housing agreement. Your application is not complete until you've signed your housing agreement. This is essentially your housing contract. It is very important that you read it thoroughly. At the bottom of your housing agreement, you'll be asked to input your ID number as your way of electronically signing your contract. We ask that you input a parent or guardian email so that a copy of the contract is emailed to all related parties that may need this information. Once you have signed the housing agreement section of your housing application, your application is complete. Your application status should say contract signed and application complete. Until those two things happen, you will be ineligible to go through room selection. Once your housing agreement is signed, this makes you eligible to receive a room selection time slot. Those time slots will be emailed to students later in February and March, depending on whether or not a student is applying and accepted to an RLC. If you have any questions or experience any difficulties when applying for housing, please contact Housing and Residence Life at housing@tulane.edu.